Knowledge is not just something that sits up here, not when we're talking about the Bible. Our knowledge is in our head, in our heart, and it should flow out into our hands, our actions. In the verse mapping series, we went through and I showed you how I was studying Psalms 90, specifically verse 12. When I was doing this, I was showing you what it looks like for my head, what a typical Bible study looks like, using simple tools to do things like compare Bible translations and ways to do simple word searches. But today, I want to show you what it looks like to connect my head, my heart, and my hands as I studied Psalms 90. I know, I'm repeating myself, but I believe in Bible study, we must not only be using our head, but submitting our hearts and engaging our hands in the process. But here's the thing. I knew when I decided how this was going to live out practically with my hands, I knew my friends were not going to be thrilled with my idea. Here's their response after I told them.
No.
That's just as depressing as all get out.
I'm very concerned.
Oh my gosh. I actually kind of love it.
This is very typical you. This reminds me of when you started wearing black all the time.
Melissa, I'm dying.
I mean, and honestly, it's very you.
It's a death calendar. Melissa, why do you have to be so dramatic? I don't know. What is a death calendar? And more importantly, why do I have one? All right, let's stop the nonsense. Let's get right down to business. You know, if you've been around here, we have been talking about head, heart, hands ad nauseum. When we study the Bible, we need to think, we need to feel, there needs to be a heart submission, love toward God and others, and we need to act on that. These three things must happen if we want to be a transforming learner. Learner just means disciple. If we want to be a disciple of Jesus, we need to know, we need to love and feel, and we need to do. But at the very heart of learning, we have to make connections. If we're not making connections, we are not learning. And how I am making connections personally is I want to connect my head, what I learn, knowledge of the Bible and God. I want to connect that to my heart, and my heart needs to submit to that knowledge, and then I want to act on it. So as I studied Psalm 90, verse 12, teach me to number my days, that I might gain a heart of wisdom. That's sort of what started this whole thing, is heart of wisdom. And as I studied using things like comparing different Bible translations, defining key words, using the English dictionary, as I started understanding up here, here's what I concluded. I concluded that there was something special to learning how to number my days. Learning how to number my days, to see my own frailty, my own weakness, my own humanity that will not last forever. It's like a flower that blooms and fades in one day. That is my life. To know that, to acknowledge it, and to literally count my days and see that they are few is going to do something. And what that's going to do is give me a heart of wisdom. And wisdom, as we studied it, as we verse mapped it, as we defined it, isn't simply a knowing. Wisdom is knowledge paired with action. So it's knowing something and actually doing something with that knowledge. It is right knowing, not wrong knowing, right, godly, good knowledge that leads to right, godly action. I want that. And if that's what I want and I work backwards in the verse, it means I need to number my days. And then as I asked myself, because I do believe this is important, that I am very consciously hitting all three. So after I'd made my conclusions, I thought, how does my heart, like, how does that feel to my heart? And at first I'm like, it feels fine. Like I'm okay with death. I'm okay with it. The more I sat on it and was asking God, would you show me, like, is there hesitation? Is there something about numbering my days and seeing my human frailty that is uncomfortable? Yes. I spend most of my day not acknowledging my own death, my own human. I'm so frail. Like I'm weak. I'm frail. As I reflected and prayed, there was an acknowledgement of, yeah, God, I don't like my weakness. I don't like my humanity. I don't like that there is a number to my days, and then I will be no more here on earth. I don't love that. I want the kind of heart and mind and actions that can be humble enough to sit under that knowledge and acknowledge it in a way that will bring wise clarity to the days that I do have. Not to sit in fear, but to sit in right thinking that produces right feeling, that produces right action. So I started asking myself, well, I would love to visually see it. And I actually thought of like doing it myself, and then I got overwhelmed because if you'll know, hands and doing, the most difficult for me. I would much rather live up in my head and in the theory than actually doing anything. So I did think about it and I'm like, I don't want to do that. I did not even know what to search because I did think, I'm like, surely there's something out there that will number your days. But is it gonna like take up my whole wall? Like, I don't know how this will work. And I'm telling you, it is like the Lord sent an Instagram ad with the perfect product that is, quite frankly, way overpriced, but I will link it below for those who are interested. But it's called My Life in Weeks. I'm looking at it on my closet. My Life in Weeks. When you order it, you give your birth date, so it comes pre-filled out up until today. And you're checking off, you're filling in each week that passes. And I wake up here in my bed every morning and I put my glasses on because I can't see a thing without them. When I stand up, I am fully facing my life in weeks. And when I opened up this package, when I first got it, I was astonished that half of it was already full. Now, I know I'm 44. I realize that. But to visually see it did something to me. Like, it's half gone. For me, now this is not everybody, nor am I saying that you need to have a death calendar. I'm really not. But for me, it is helpful. It is motivating. For my friend Katie, she was like, no, that calendar gives me anxiety. That is not the right application for her. But for me, as I look at it, it is a reminder every single morning, Melissa, your days are numbered. Your days are numbered. You are weak. You are human. You are frail. Live this day the best you can in mind, heart, and action. I really love it. My poor husband, is not a huge fan, but he indulges me. He allows me to put it in our room where he has to face it every day as well. Let us not read the Bible with just our heads, with just our knowledge, or with just our feelings, or with just our actions. We want to read the Bible well and deeply and study it and verse map it and define it and feel it and live it. We want to do all three of those things. There is beauty and wonder. It is how we will be transformed. Don't you want that? It's like the deepest desire of my soul is to be transformed into the image of Christ. Actually, that's not right. The deepest desire of my heart is to see the beauty of God. It's like I want to go to find him and just stand under the glory of who he is. That's my number one desire. And then secondary to that, because of who he is, as his glory like radiates and shines down on me, I want to be changed into someone that looks more like him, that looks like his daughter, that has the same features as he does, because we're related because he's working and changing me. I deeply, deeply want it. So here's the question I would love to hear in the comments. I have one friend, Galen, who was like,
oh my gosh, I actually kind of love it.
and the rest of them are like,
No.
Are you someone who's into this? Would you want to put up something like, you could call it a life calendar. I call it a death calendar. But would you do it? I would love to hear in the comments below. Are you a death calendar kind of gal? Or are you one who's like, Melissa, you have lost your mind. Get your calendar out of here. Let me know in the comments below. If you're interested in seeing part 1 or part 2 of Bible verse mapping, you can find those right here. That's where I go into the nitty-gritty details of how I actually study. Bye for now, my friends.